It's all yours.
Great, thank you so much. Well, good evening, everybody. Thank you for joining us here tonight. I'm very excited to talk with you all about Georgetown University McDonough School of Business's MBA program. Please feel free, as we're going through this as well, to use the question and answer or Q&A feature. I'll do a little bit through as we go through the programming itself, but I will save most of them for the end of this presentation itself. But please, any questions you have, use that so we can start touching on them as we're going along. So we have three core pillars as we're thinking about our program. The first one is the global mindset, and that is through multiple different ways. So thinking about the makeup of our class itself, we usually have about a third of our class coming from all over the world. The most recent class is made up of 42 different countries, and that includes Colombia, that includes Chile, Venezuela, a number of different places throughout Latin and South America. So you will definitely feel at home coming here. But also we have a class called the Global Business Experience. I'll touch on that a little bit later in the presentation. We also have international treks, which I'll talk about, all kinds of different opportunities. But also it presents itself in the classroom as well. We really like to make sure that we're thinking through how to introduce you to everything from how the supply chain of a company is impacted by tariffs, how it's impacted by how countries interact, all the way down to finances. Everything is impacted by how the globe interacts with itself and how countries interact with each other. DC is, of course, a phenomenal place no matter what you're trying to access. I'll touch on that a little bit more in the next slide, but no matter what it is that you're trying to do, DC probably has an opportunity for you. And then principled leadership. So if you've read anything about Georgetown, you've probably seen things like Cura Personalis, Hoyas helping Hoyas. We really, really like to focus in on leadership that helps not just companies expand, not just help companies make profit, but also how we're helping people get better, how we're helping people in the world. And so I promised you I would talk about DC a little bit. And we are really located at the intersection of business and policy. So as you know, the United States, our capital is Washington, DC. So you have access to all kinds of different opportunities to see leaders coming from all over the world to, talk with the president, to meet at the embassies, everything like that. But also the highest concentration of Fortune 500 companies per capita, meaning whatever type of company you are trying to recruit for post MBA, there's likely going to be an opportunity for that. Whether you want to go into marketing at maybe a CPG company, you're looking at Nestle, you're looking at Johnson & Johnson, whatever that might look like, or you want to go into investment banking, or you want to go into the tech space. There are a number of opportunities throughout the DC area. And even if they don't have a headquarters here, they probably come through the DC area occasionally. So you're probably curious about what the curriculum looks like, what you're going to be spending all of your time in the MBA program, or a lot of your time at least. The core curriculum classes probably aren't too surprising to you. And those core curriculum classes are going to be the ones in that dark navy blue color. If you have any trouble seeing any of the colors on the screen, please speak up and I'm more than happy to talk through it a little bit more and a little bit better. But those core curriculum courses are going to be, your finance, your accounting, marketing, statistics, leadership classes, all of those opportunities, as well as what I mentioned earlier, our global business experience that I'll talk about later. But we also have over 100 different electives in 6 major functions. So thinking about strategy, marketing, finance, everything like that you might want to do. And because we're what's called we're a general management program. You don't have to find a track. You don't have to declare a major. You can really build out the MBA that it is that you want and that you need, because you have all these elective opportunities and there's no need to silo yourself. Make the MBA that you need in order to make whatever career you want after the MBA. If you do want to specialize though, we have a few different ways you can do that. We have certificates in non-market strategy, which is focused on the intersection of business, policy, and economics. We have a certificate in consumer analytics and insights, a little more focused on data and society and how those two interact. And then our most recent one, which is our certificate in sustainable business. As you can probably guess, it's focused on sustainability, corporate social responsibility, and different ideas and concepts like that. We do also have a STEM designation. I'll touch on that in a little bit, but I know that is very exciting for some of our international students who are looking to stay in the United States. You can also take electives outside of McDonough if you're interested in our School in Public Policy, our School of Foreign Service, whatever that might look like for you. Additionally, in the fall of your second year of the full-time program, you can also study abroad. I know that interests people. We have opportunities at different business schools throughout Europe, Asia, and South America, if that interests you at all. And then different experiential learning opportunities through either independent studies, maybe courses you want to create yourself through the program office, or intensive learning experiences, which are really in-depth 1 or 2 week long classes where you're taking a lot of credits in a short amount of time, but they're really phenomenal opportunities to learn everything from how AI works in human resources, all the way through to, data visualization, how to use Tableau. We do also offer a part-time program. I'm not sure if there are how many people there are in the audience that are interested in this, but this is a great opportunity and it's something that I actually pursued. I'm a recent graduate of our Flex MBA program. It's a great opportunity if you want to keep working full-time and going to school part-time and still getting that full MBA experience, still being able to take those same core curriculum classes, a lot of the same elective opportunities. For this program, we also offer some hybrid courses that are 50% in person, 50% online or asynchronous. Saturday electives, different types of really flexible course offerings. As full-time students, you would also get access to these after all of the Flex students have signed up for their courses. So it is still an opportunity for those of you looking at the full-time program, but these are a little more geared towards our part-time students. This also has an adjustable timeline, as quick as 26 to 28 months or as long as 5 years. So this could be an option if some of you have, let's say you're working for a company that has a DC location, you're thinking about maybe transferring to that office and doing the school part-time. That's absolutely an opportunity for you. And then I mentioned earlier that we do have a STEM designated management science specialization. It's quite a mouthful, but you can probably guess what it means. Interdisciplinary and applied approach towards science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. This is made up of a specific set of different STEM specified electives that you would need to complete by graduation. But one huge benefit, and something that I know a lot of international students are very excited about, is that STEM certified international students can apply for a STEM OPT extension of their work authorization, allowing you to stay up to 3 years coming into your post-MBA career. And it's also, in general, if you're looking at maybe a little bit more of a quantitative heavy post-MBA career, or maybe you want to move into the tech space, this is a great way to indicate that that's something that you're interested in to employers, and something that you can excel in as well. I've mentioned a few times our global business experience. It is really a core part of our program and something that excites a lot of students coming into this program. And honestly, as somebody who graduated, was one of my favorite experiences. It is essentially a 6 to 8 week consulting project where you're working with some type of international company. As you can see, these companies hail from all over the world, whether that is South America or Europe or Africa or Asia, all over the world in a number of different opportunities, whether you want to work with a company like Microsoft, or maybe you want to be a little more like me. And I worked with a small family-run Panamanian coffee company, and it was a phenomenal experience. But I've also had friends who, worked for the UPS, that worked for Estee Lauder in places like Hong Kong. This is a phenomenal opportunity to gain additional international experience, to see how people work in a completely different part of the world, and to get real tangible experience as a part of the program. So you're going to be working on actual problems and helping actual companies solve these problems, whether that's expanding their sales and marketing, or that's helping them with strategy, or maybe it's their operations. It could be a little bit of anything or everything. So you have a number of opportunities all over the world. A lot of times we get asked, what does a typical week look like for an MBA student? And the answer is there's no real typical week. It's kind of hard to tell you that this is set in stone. This is what your week is going to look like every week. But this is generally what it is going to look like. So you'll see in this yellow color those are the classes. Those are going to be the core curriculum classes for the students, taking marketing, strategy, classes like that. But those don't take up the entire day. That's only going to be a part of your week. You're going to have opportunities to, meet with your study team and get down with everything that you need to do for these classes. And let me tell you, there are group projects for just about everything. I've had group projects for accounting, for marketing, operations, everything. But there are also opportunities to meet with maybe some of your extracurricular opportunities. For example, impact consulting is on this, which is something run through the Net Impact Club, where you get to actually do some pro bono consulting for a nonprofit. You can also take the time to go to employer presentations. So this, for example, has Deloitte employer presentation, Microsoft. You'll notice these typically happen in the evening. That's a big time for employers to either present virtually or in person. Coaching sessions with the Career Center can happen at any point during the day. And then you'll notice on Friday, no class on Friday. That is something kind of set in stone for us. Those are really dedicated to a few different things, whether that is Impact Day for those of you looking to go into the social impact space, or in general, they are career days. So this example says Impact Day, but that could also be consulting. It could be finance. It could be marketing, anything in between. Those Fridays are really set aside for an entire day for employers to come and speak with students, for the Career Center to be working with those employers, panels, there are lunch networking sessions, there are breakout rooms, everything like that. And then you'll also notice the clubs are typically meeting during the lunchtime. That's really common for us because it's a good time. Nobody has classes. That also happens a lot after 5 o'clock to meet with the different clubs. And then you'll also see on Thursday in that gray color, something called kegs. It is a fun time to just chat with your friends in the program, to meet other people. Sometimes we have special events during those. So what is on the screen right now is called War Stories. And it is where some of our military students talk about their time, talk about adjusting to civilian life, talk about any of their experiences. And it's a really, really impactful evening. So while there's no typical week, this is at least going to give you some form of an idea. And of course, I can't not talk about the career aspect of this. This is something that we focus on really heavily, honestly, before you even set foot on campus. We have an entire summer preparation series where there are multiple career webinars that you're going to be watching. There are deliverables that are due before you even start. And they are going to include redoing your resume. It's going to be looking into your ideal companies and telling us why you want to go for those companies. Making sure you're listing out all the different accomplishments that you've had across the years. You will also, as full-time students, meet with an advisor before you start anything as well. So they really want to make sure you're starting the fall ready to go and ready for that internship search. We have 9 certified industry career advisors that are staffed for our team the entire time. We also have peer advisors, and these are second-year students who have found success with the internship search, that have found success with their career search in general, and are going to be there to help you in any way that they can, whether that's prepping for interviews, whether that's looking over your resume or your cover letter, everything and anything in between that can help you meet your career goals. I'm not going to go into what we call MCV or the McDonough Career View too much. You don't need to know too much about the system. Just know it's where you go to look for jobs. But also, I do want to emphasize the networking opportunities. We have almost 50 different clubs, and I'll talk about that in a little bit. But a lot of them are career focused, and those are phenomenal opportunities to meet with other people and to make sure you're getting ready for the internship search or getting ready for that full-time job offer search. But also, they're often the clubs that are organizing those career days that I mentioned earlier, or the career treks, if you're interested in that. For example, Finance Club does a trek over our fall break to New York to meet with different companies, to meet with alumni. So it's an opportunity to use that club and make sure you're progressing your career in the way that you want. We do also have national MBA conferences that are great opportunities to meet with employers. And some of those happen before you even start the program as well. Definitely look into them. There are also a lot of opportunities that I'll talk about later that coincide. And those are ones that you can also get scholarships for. And I will also mention the alumni network. It is a phenomenal network that you will use heavily as students in this program. We have, as you can see, almost 200,000 alumni from Georgetown in general, and almost 10,000 just MBA alumni as well. There are going to be so many people that are willing to help you with that search, willing to help you talk through the ideas that you're having, what excites you, and figure out what is the best path forward for you. So finding your community. And I saw that there was a question about, any activities or support for spouses. So we mentioned over 40 different student clubs. One of those is actually a Partners and Families Club. And it's an opportunity to make sure you're networking with other people who are coming in with partners or spouses or families. I have lots of peers with little ones that have done this program with them. Lots of virtual classes with small ones on their laps. So it is there are plenty of opportunities to make sure your partner or spouse gets involved with this as well. But some of those other clubs are, the Georgetown Wine Society, if you want to, do some wine tasting with your peers. Tabletop games clubs, there's a golf club, a sports club. We also have what we call Affinity Organizations. So our Latin American Business Association, our National Black MBA, our Black MBA Association, our Reaching Out MBA for our LGBTQ+ community, all kinds of different opportunities to meet with and interact with different people. So it's more than just those career clubs. It's also ones for fun. It's also ones to meet other people that, come from similar backgrounds to you as well. I mentioned earlier that we have treks. So we do have those career opportunities. Like I mentioned the one earlier with the finance club, but we also have one if you want to go and hike Kilimanjaro. We also have a service trek. There are so many different ways. If you want to go to Israel with the Jewish Business Alliance and spend New Year's Eve in Tel Aviv, many opportunities to continue to expand your worldview beyond the classroom. We are also very principled leadership focused, as I mentioned earlier, and part of that for us is making sure we have a lot of volunteer opportunities. All of our clubs have volunteer events or volunteer components. We have an entire MBA Volunteers Club. And as you can see, we have lots and lots and lots, thousands of hours of volunteer hours by our students. And that's just the class of 2019. So as you can imagine, across the board, if we were to total up all of our alumni, total up all of our students, it's really, really important to us. Additionally, if you're looking to gain leadership opportunities or gain leadership experience at different opportunities, we have different board positions available between all of those different clubs. Most of them are going to have between, I would say, 4 and 12 leadership opportunities. So if you want to get involved, if you want that experience on your resume and coming out of the MBA, that's absolutely a possibility for you. And so, of course, the slide that scares people a little bit, our tuition and indirect costs for this program. So it is about $64,000 a year for our program, not including, cost of living, whatever it might cost you to eat every month and pay your rent. That being said, we do offer a number of different scholarship opportunities and funding opportunities. These are a few of our partner organizations. So you'll see Prospanica for Hispanic students, Reaching Out MBA, which focuses on, like I mentioned earlier, LGBTQ+ students, all kinds of different opportunities. Forte for our women, all kinds of different organizations. That being said, we also offer scholarships outside of these organizations as well. You don't have to be a member of them, and you don't have to just tie yourself to one of those. We offer scholarships to all kinds of different people and all kinds of different students. You don't have to do anything special to do a scholarship. Make sure you're, trying to get your scores up, things like that. But every single student who applies to our program is assessed for a scholarship. So just by applying, you're already considered someone who's in the pool of students who may potentially get a scholarship. But of course, there is also the return on investment. So it's not just that you're paying for this program. We want you to get something out of it in the end and out of it just beyond the community. We have incredible statistics for our Career Center. So the class of 2020, the class that graduated in the beginning of a pandemic, still 93% of them received an offer within 3 months of graduation. We have usually a 99 to 100% internship rate for our students. So if you're worried about that, that should be very encouraging for you. Our full-time salary coming out of the MBA is just over 128,000 US dollars. And our average signing bonus for our students is just under 35,000 US dollars. So hopefully you're coming out of this program with an incredible return on investment, and all of the money that you poured into this program will be well worth it. And then there are, of course, a few more boring things that I'll cover for you. So these are upcoming dates for our upcoming application cycle. We have not fully debuted these yet, so these are a bit of a sneak peek, but these will be the deadlines for our upcoming year. So if you're planning on applying this fall or this upcoming spring, these will be the deadlines you'll want to keep in mind. The various application components are going to be on the left-hand side of the screen. So by attending some of the events, we do have a reduction waiver. This is not one of them, but if you attend our virtual experience Georgetown events, our focus on diversity, all kinds of different opportunities. And if you look on our website, we do list those out for you. We do require transcripts. We do require a test. That being said, we don't have a preference what tests you take. I really encourage you to take whatever test is going to be the best fit for you. If that's the Gmat, if that's the GRE, if that is a new test that we're accepting, the executive assessment, whatever is going to be the best one for you. I strongly encourage you to give your resume a look. Make sure it is up to date. We love to see any progression that you've had in your career. We love to see opportunities for leadership, opportunities for teamwork. Anything that you've done that will really speak to us is going to be a phenomenal opportunity to showcase your capabilities just on that one-page paper. So we really want to make sure you're getting that resume up to date and ready to go for the application. We only require one professional recommendation. I encourage you to use your current supervisor if you can, but we of course understand that many of you may have not had that conversation with your employers yet and want to use a previous supervisor or somebody in a role that at one point managed you and is able to speak to your capabilities, is able to speak to how you do in this role. We have one written essay. There are 3 different topics typically that you can choose from. You just need to choose one. You don't need to write 3 essays, don't worry. We only require one. But I will say something unique. We do have a video essay component. I actually personally love the video essay. It is one of my favorite things to look at when I'm reading these applications. It's really enjoyable. I can also say, having been in your shoes at one point, it is awkward to film sometimes. But let me tell you, taking 1 minute to tell us what makes you unique and what is exciting about you is really enjoyable to watch on the other end. Interviews are by invitation only, so something to look out for once you've applied. And then in English language or proficiency test score. If you have not completed some type of university in an English speaking university, whether that's in the United States or elsewhere, and it has somewhere on there that you can show that it was done in English, then we do require either an IELTS, a TOEFL, or a PTE test. IELTS and TOEFL tend to be the most common, but whichever one, again, you can get access to and you can actually do. I do see another question rolling in, and now is the time. So please use the Q&A feature to ask any questions that you have. I have been with this team for a little over 2 years now, and I'm also a graduate of the program. So hopefully I can answer anything that you throw at me. I will definitely do my very best. Let's see. Do you have the option to finalize the MBA in less time, in 1 year? So no, it is a 2-year program. It is built out to be 2 years. I think it would be really difficult to do in 1 year. And unfortunately, we do have a requirement for how many credits we have. So not able to do it in 1 year. Unfortunately, it is a 2-year program. Plus you have the internship in the middle. But I know that there are some of those out there. Do we have a minimum TOEFL score? We don't have a minimum score. We typically see, I'm trying to see if I can find our average anywhere. Let's see here. So I would say usually you want to be above 100 for TOEFL. I don't know if we have an average per se, but you definitely want to have a score above 100 for your application. Let's see. If you want to pursue a career in human resources, can you get this specialization at this MBA? Great question. So we don't technically have specializations in that regard, and that you're going to take only human resources classes. We are a general management program. What I will say though is if you're interested in human resources or you're interested in moving forward in that path, there are a lot of different management courses that you can take and very people-focused classes that you can take. For example, I did, there's a class that's mandatory for the core curriculum called Leading Teams for Performance and Impact, but I also took a class that's called Leading High-Performing Teams. And the entire point of it is how you can make sure you're working with people really well and reading the room and getting people to work together. So there are classes that are going to be really helpful in the HR sense, but there is no technical specialization from that regard. Is there a Gmat average? There is. We have a class profile page. I will quickly copy it for you all. So our average Gmat is going to be 691, but the range itself, our 80% range, is from 650 to 720. Means there's lots of wiggle room in there. So don't worry too much if you're not in exactly a 690. There is a little bit above and a little bit below that will have as well. I don't know sorry, I'm not looking at the chat, so I just saw the chat. We don't have an executive assessment average at the moment, and I know I'm about to put out the class profile page as best example of what to look for. We actually just accepted that within the last year and a half. So we don't have enough students that have taken it yet to have an average for the executive assessment. What I would recommend is to try to get, I would really say try to get about a 12 in each of the sections. That's a good number to reach for. I have seen a number of different scores. Not everybody is a 12, but that's definitely something you want to aim for the executive assessment. It's the most common number of percent of scholarships offered by the university. I can answer that two ways, so I'm going to do my best here. I don't have a common number, so percentage that we're covering, and I don't have a percentage of students that get scholarships as a whole. I would say quite a few of our full-time candidates do receive some type of scholarship. So it's not impossible, it's not uncommon. But that number can range from a few thousand US dollars a year to a full ride. There is a very wide range of what the scholarship itself might look like, which is a bit of the tricky part to answer that question too directly. I will put another link in the chat for you all about our full-time scholarships and the different resources that we have available, just to make sure you have those on hand and in mind as well. And I do ask that you try to use the Q&A as opposed to the chat. I know I'm sending things in the chat, but if you have any questions, please make sure you keep using Q&A so that I can answer them all there. And then, great. And then, yes, Juan, it's not mandatory to choose a focus area at all. You can choose multiple. You can make as much variety as you want. And you can pick courses in every single area. I would say a lot of students naturally gravitate towards specific types of classes. So I tended to do more of the quote unquote soft skill classes like negotiations, like the leading high performing teams classes like that. But I also did a certificate in consumer analytics and insights. So I also had a class for that where we learned basic R. So it is a pretty wide variety of types of classes you can take, and there's no restrictions except for the ones that you put on yourself. You can get more information about the executive assessment. I would use Google or some type of other search engine. It is run by the same company that does the Gmat. So it should be available. It is available on their website as well. And then most students live off campus. This this can affect your budget because there are so many different places in the DC area to live. So thinking about how if you live in the very city center, it might be more expensive than living in an area that's maybe a little less of the city. So we have Northern Virginia just across the river from us. And those tend to be a little less expensive with a little more space. So a lot of students do end up living there as well. You can absolutely find something within your budget. We have recently offered an opportunity to connect with peers in your incoming class so that you can find something, you can find a roommate and then find something within both of your budgets. Having lived in multiple areas of the DC area, I can say it does vary pretty greatly depending on where you look. So there will definitely be plenty of options for you. But to answer your questions, almost all of our students live off campus, and you can really find a space that works with your budget depending on what it is you have available to you. Is it possible to classify for 2 types of scholarships? So if you look on that, the link to our site that I sent out, you can see what some international students do. We also have international students that are available to chat with you if you have questions as well. But you can get one through the school and an external one. Absolutely, whatever it takes for you to help pay for this program, we fully understand that. And I know plenty of students that did both a school one and also were applying externally to different companies, different organizations that also assist with that. And then I saw that there's a question in the chat. I want to make sure I get to it too. When will fall 22 admission portal be open? Great question. We typically try to open it late July, early August. So stay on the lookout for that coming a little bit later this summer. What are some of the top industries from the school in the most recent years? I will definitely say finance and consulting. I think you're going to hear that at a lot of places. We also have quite a few students that end up in the social impact space, if that's something that interests you at all. Let's see, tech has been a big one that's been coming up in the recent years, particularly now that we have Amazon just across the river from us. That's definitely been a key part of it, I think. Also, Capital One is right in the area. So there are a number of different companies. I did use the chat again to put in our employment report. Those are 2019 grads, and then I will do the employment report for 2020 as well. So you can see across a couple different years what that looks like for us. And both of those list out some of the companies that recruit from us. It is a wide range, ranging from Nestle to Citibank to Deloitte to EY. It is a number of different companies across a number of different industries. So no matter really what type of industry you're recruiting for, there are going to be opportunities. Also, if you look at our career center, which I will do as well, we have different teammates that specialize in different areas, whether that is consulting or that is the travel or that is hospitality. We have a number that specialize in very different things. So you can find somebody that can help you with whatever pathway is the pathway for you. And we do have a little bit more time, so I'm happy to keep answering these questions.
Ashby, if I can jump in. You were a student at Georgetown. Can you tell us like your fondest memories?
Yes, I have so many. Let's see. So we have one big event every year. It is called Fight Night. It is a black tie charity event where we raise money for usually a nonprofit in the area, sometimes an organization in the area, whatever that might look like. But students actually train for a few months to get in the ring and box. It is a lot of fun. I have been both just somebody who's viewed, and I've also done the boxing as somebody who's been boxing for a few years. But mostly it's just a great opportunity. It is the full-time students, it is the part-time students all coming together and just having a really good time. And I think it goes back to my number one favorite part of the community, which is the community. It is just a phenomenal group of people. You feel very supported. It is very collaborative, which I know are very cliche words that you probably hear a lot, but having lived it. No matter if it's, you're struggling with accounting. The CPAs in my class actually did a tutoring session for all of us because a lot of people hadn't taken accounting before, and they really wanted to make sure everybody felt comfortable and confident going into our accounting finals. So they spent hours on a Sunday tutoring everybody to make sure everybody felt ready to go into that final, which for me was not something I expected. I expected really competitive, cutthroat people. But it turns out it may be competitive to get into the program, but once you're in, everybody is just so excited and everybody is just so willing to help each other. And it was a truly phenomenal experience from that regard.
Thank you. Which classes shouldn't any student miss?
So I mentioned a class earlier called data visualization, which was one of my favorite classes that I've taken. And it was just really interesting to learn about how to better use things like PowerPoint and Excel, because you can put a pie chart anywhere, but are people actually going to understand what you're trying to tell them? And so it's communicating through very basic, simple things like that, but making sure you're getting the point across that you want to get across. I would also say I really loved our marketing class, which is one of the core curriculum courses, but it was the first class that I've taken where I really felt like I was using both sides of my brain constantly. It felt like you have to be thinking about the numbers behind everything. You're thinking customer lifetime value. How much money are you willing to spend on a potential consumer? And then also thinking about like, what color works best to appeal to most people? Is blue going to be a bright blue or going to be a soft blue so that it's calming? And you're really thinking about both the hard quantitative aspects, but also the really soft and kind of fluffier parts, if you will, which was really, really fun because I feel like there are not that many opportunities in life to make sure you're constantly going between the two and making them agree at all points in time.
Thank you. There is another opening question.
Yes, I see it. How much of the costs can international students cover with private lenders? Does the school have alternative lending options? I know that we have information available. How you pay for it is going to be partially up to you. So if you do need to use private lenders, if you do need to use different lending companies, that is going to be completely up to you. We can do our very best to assist you in any way that we can. And we know that there are a lot of international students that do utilize the different financing options outside of scholarships and outside of paying out of pocket, because a lot of students in the United States are using the federal loans through the government. So private lenders are, I would say, very common for international students to cover the rest of it. And I know it typically takes a letter of acceptance. I've also written out a number of different things, whether that is what our coursework looks like, different opportunities like that. Whatever you need in order to help you secure that funding from our end of things, we're usually pretty good about trying to make sure we're getting you everything that you need in order to get it, and anything that you need in order to progress and be able to come and join us on the hilltop.
Ashby, thank you very, very much for this presentation, all your insights. I have one last question. Can you expand on the DC or Washington advantage?
Yes. So one, you're in the city, and as somebody who I went to University of Virginia for undergrad, I absolutely loved it. I love being in a real proper city for school. You just have access to so much. And I mean, outside of the career aspects and outside of things like that, I mean, the food that we have is just phenomenal. There are concerts if you're interested in live music, all kinds of different opportunities to get outside if you enjoy hiking, anything like that. But also on top of that, if you are trying to access a city like New York or Chicago, it is so easy to get to all of them. New York is a very quick train right away. And I know that's a big component for those individuals who are looking at the finance industry, particularly investment banking. It is a very quick train right up and very easy to get to. Chicago is a very short flight. I've done that flight many times for work and for fun. And so I can promise you it's quick and easy to get to. So you not only have access to everything around you in DC itself, but you also are at a point within the United States that it's really, really accessible to get anywhere else that you may want or need to go. And on the flip side, it's really easy for everyone else to get here as well, meaning when recruitment does come around, we usually have a number of companies that are very willing to come to the DC area to recruit from us and are already here and willing to chat with students when they are here. We have phenomenal speakers that come on campus as well, ranging from politicians to CEOs. One of the ones that stands out in my head is the CEO of Hawaii Airlines came, and I remember because he was wearing a Hawaiian shirt. And for some reason, it really stuck out to me to have somebody who was the CEO presenting in a Hawaiian shirt, but I really enjoyed it. But no matter what space you're interested in or what you're interested in as far as topics go, there's going to be people coming on campus to speak as well that are really interesting and going to be phenomenal opportunities from that point as well. So DC has everything you could possibly want, whether that's access to other parts of the United States, access to companies, anything along those lines, you're going to have those opportunities in the DC area.
Okay, well, thank you so much. I think we're running out of time. I hope you enjoyed the presentation, Ashby. I think it's very interesting. The program at Georgetown is very interesting. I've had several students joining the program and having wonderful opportunities and experiences, and you share like your experience as an alum from Georgetown. Thank you so much. Thank you everyone for joining us. Tomorrow we have 2 more presentations and we hope you join us as well. So have a good night, everyone.
Yes, thank you all for your time and thank you for having us.
Bye.